Namo Buddhaya, Namo Ratnagri. So, good evening from Dhammadharini Monastery in Northern California, and good morning to Deepak Anand in Bodh Gaya, live in India on the Vesak full moon eve. So welcome, Deepak. Thank you very much for joining us, for accepting our invitation. Today we're going to be speaking about the life of the Buddha and the day leading up to the Buddha's great awakening. Or rather not the Buddha yet, but the Bodhisattva Siddhartha's great awakening. So I would like to give you an introduction to Deepak Anand, who I met a couple of years ago in Bodh Gaya. He was highly recommended as a pilgrim guide and had been doing some very interesting research and explorations around the Bodh Gaya area. And myself and several members of our Dhammadharini community on pilgrimage had the very good fortune to be able to walk together with Deepak Anand in the footsteps of the Buddha. So around Bodh Gaya, the site of awakening, and further afoot through the Jetian Valley to Rajgir and the great and awesome sites that have been refound, rediscovered. Even at that time, there were sites that Deepak had just recently rediscovered through close examination of the records of the pilgrim Bodhisattva Xuanzang and the other pilgrims from China and Korea who traveled from far abroad over land and over sea to come to themselves walk in the footsteps of the Buddha and see the places of that we find in the suttas for themselves, meditate in the place where the Buddha himself attained awakening. So it's my privilege and pleasure today, this evening here and on the Vesak full moon eve in Bodh Gaya to be able to see these and revisit these places, to learn more about them. And for all those who are joining us, Deepak has kindly said that if we may have a few minutes to be able to ask questions and have some discussion after his presentation. I'd just like to say before beginning that this is a companion program with another that will be happening a little bit less than 24 hours from now in India, live from these sites that we're going to be seeing now, if all the technical aspects work well. So about 22 hours from now, live, it will be 5:30 in the morning on the day of the Vaishaka or Vesak full moon. And you'll have a chance to join for that as well. That is to be with the researchers, scholars, pilgrim interpreters and guides there in these sites, including Deepak himself. So I'd like to give a brief introduction to our very special guest today. And I'm taking some of the introduction, I'm using Buddhist Door Global's feature article, Sublime Wanderings, Rediscovering the Buddha in the Footsteps of Xuanzang. So Buddhist scholar and journalist Deepak Anand, a researcher at Nava Nalanda Mahavihara University in India, is not one to shy away from adversity. An unabashed idealist and seeker, I have much sympathy for that, with a dash of the unrepentant adventurer, Anand is on a long and daring pilgrimage to retrace the footsteps of the influential Chinese Buddhist monk, scholar, and translator Xuanzang, who traveled overland to India and Central Asia in the 7th century. With each step taken along this ambitious path, Anand aims to raise awareness of some of the lesser known jewels of India's vast Buddhist heritage, as well as the formidable and far-reaching legacy of Master Xuanzang himself, the influences of which are still felt today. While the majority of Xuanzang's sojourn in India was spent at Nalanda, he traveled widely, visiting every known sacred site connected with the life of the Buddha. It is this aspect of the Master's legacy that Deepak aims to highlight, replicate, at least as far as prevailing circumstances allow, seeking out sacred sites and historic relics spread across some 15 India states and in Nepal as well. So then from Deepak's own blog, Nalanda on the Move, I found that this revitalization of the sacred landscape of Uruvela that he published on this at the time of the Vesak Purnima, that's the Vesak full moon, actually in 2019, 2 years ago. And this is around the time that also our pilgrim group visited this area and had the great good fortune to be able to visit some of these sites in person ourselves, including sites that had just recently been rediscovered through using the very precise directions that were passed down by Bodhisattva Xuanzang. But welcome, Deepak. Very glad to see you again. Thank you very much for joining us. I'd now like to welcome and invite for you to share with us about the Bodhisattva Siddhartha, the day of his awakening.
Thank you, Venerable. Thanks for this opportunity. Dear Venerables and Dhamma friends around the world, happy Vesak to all of you. So as first of all, I would thank Venerable Tathaloka for such a wonderful introduction. I'm really humbled. So this presentation is basically about what happened on the day of Vesak Purnima in the life of Bodhisattva Siddhartha. So let me give you some background first. Yeah. So how do we know about what happened on the day of Vesak Purnima? So basically, these are some biographical texts. All these events which happened on the day of Vesak Purnima, it is scattered in different biographical sources, as well as, most importantly, the travelogues of the Buddhist monk scholars like Fashkian, Xuanzang, and Dharm Swamin. So based on these travelogues and biographical texts like Mahavastu, Lalit Vistara, Buddha Charita, Nidana Katha, Abhishtamana Sutra. So based on all this text, we have tried to find this geography in Uruvela and the sequence of events which happened in the life of Bodhisattva Siddhartha on this day. So as all of you are aware that on the day of Ashala Purnima, that is month of July, Bodhisattva Siddhartha at the age of 29, he left his palace life. He left Kapilavastu, that is Tilara Court, present-day Tilara Court. So from there he left his, this event is called Great Renunciation. So traveling from from Tilarakota, he came to Ramagrama, and from Ramagrama to Anupiya, and from there Vaishali, and then traveling in stages, he arrived at Rajgir, and then after that he practiced with a couple of teachers, like prominent among them were Udak Ramaputra and Alar Kalama. So after that, he realized that all these teachings, it's not going to help what he's looking for. Actually he was looking for an finite answer, how to end the sufferings, from where this suffering arises and how to end this. So ultimately he decided to practice on his own. And so in the process, he arrived at this place called Uruvela. So this is the ancient area of Uruvela. So Uruvela means, Uru means sand and Vela means heap. So this area is because, this is surrounded by, you can see there are two rivers here. So this whole area is full of sand. So this is why this is called Uruvela. So this is the map of sequence of events which took place in this area. So the first thing is like, this is the place, this number one. This is the place which is called now Dhammaranya. You can see this picture. This is the Dhammaranya. And this is the place, according to Buddhist literature, all the Buddhist literature, they indicate that Bodhisattva Siddhartha, in search of the new place, in order to start spiritual practices, especially the austere practices, self-mortification things, he find this place, very suitable, because this was very close to, this place had 4 villages, according to Buddhist text, and prominent among them was Senani Grama. So Senani Grama was somewhere here, and this is like, more than 1 kilometers. So this is where, Bodhisattva Siddhartha made his base. He was here for, he spent 4 or 5 years here practicing, taking austere practices. He says, according to, in his own words, he started taking only 1 grain of food every day, and he became very lean and thin. And also because, he chose this place because, according to him, this river was very, water was very neat and clean. It's called Niranjana, water, river with blue water. Water was like, it was very neat and clean, very pure water. So, and also because there were villages, so he could always go and take food, accept alms from the people living there. And it was very, this was all forest in the time of Buddha. Until like 100 years ago also, there were like tigers and leopards in this area. So after practicing for 4 years, he realized, 4 or 5 years, he realized that this austere practice is not going to help. So he decided to restart his meditative practice. So then, but by that time he was very weak. So he started taking, then he started to take food that I should gain some strength. And so after that, after maybe, so what happened on the day of Vesak Purnima, maybe a day or two before that, he left this place, Dhammaranya. So now you can see this Dhammaranya this is the present temple. All these shrines which were like, Buddhist in ancient times, they were abandoned because all of us, we are aware of this fact that Buddhism was lost in the first, at the end of first millennia CE. And after that, all this site, because sanctity continued, among the local people, it was still a place of worship. So slowly, gradually, all these sites were like, absorbed by the Brahminical tradition. So you can see all these sites which we are going to talk today, they were all, just 50 years ago, they were all Brahminical sites. Still, it's like Brahminical shrines, but they all have Buddhist roots. So this is like, present day Dhammaranya. Again, this name has continued. It is still called Dhammaranya. Aranya is forest and Dhamma, all of us know. So it is still called Dhammaranya. And so on the day of Vesak Purnima, this is place number 2. And this is like, this is, this yellow spot is the place where this stupa is there. This is Sujata Stupa. Locally, it was called Sujata Garh. And in 1975, because this mound was called Sujata Garh, so archaeologists hoping to find some link with Sujata, the girl who offered milk rice to Bodhisattva Siddhartha on Vesak Purnima. So they did excavation, and they found many seals with this inscribed the Sujata Griha, house of Sujata. So the stupa is at the spot where Sujata's house was there. So this house was here, and this second spot, the Sujata Temple. This is the present day Sujata Temple. So this is the place. There was a banyan tree, and Bodhisattva Siddhartha, he made his base there. He was practicing there on the day. So what happened on the early in the morning of Vesak Purnima? This girl Sujata. So this Sujata was daughter of the prominent man of this village, Senani Grama, and some few years ago, 2 years before that, she had made a prayer at this place, this spot number 2, that if I get married to a good guy, good person, and if I'm blessed with a son, I will come and make an offering of milk rice to you. So this Vesak Purnima was that auspicious day which she chose to offer this milk rice to this tree, auspicious tree, banyan tree. So she sent, early in the morning, maybe at 4 o'clock, 4:30, she sent one of her assistants to go and check, just to make this place neat and clean. So when her assistant, when she went there, she saw Bodhisattva Siddhartha sitting very calmly and like in a meditative posture sitting under the tree. So she rushed back to this Sujata's house and told, not only tree, but the deity himself is sitting under the tree. So please rush. So both of them, then they arrived at this place, and then they offered milk rice to Bodhisattva Siddhartha. So this offering of milk rice to Bodhisattva Siddhartha is considered to be the turning point in the journey of Bodhisattva Siddhartha in becoming Buddha. So that is why, I mean, this event is so much talked about. I mean, you will find all this Buddhist literature talking about this event. All this ancient biographical text, even Xuanzang and Fashian, they mention about this event. So, so after receiving this milk rice, Bodhisattva Siddhartha, then he went to take bath in river Niranjana. So from there, somewhere, I mean, this spot is still not identified. I mean, Xuanzang saw in stupa to mark this place where Bodhisattva Siddhartha entered Niranjana river to, I mean, for bath. But I mean, then after that, according to Fashian, he went further north, and this third spot is the place, according to Fashian, where Bodhisattva Siddhartha consumed milk rice. So this is the Sujata Temple. This is spot number 2. This is, I mean, still there is a banyan tree here, and still, like, you know, this place is very worshipped among. This is, you can see in the background, this is the village Uru. This village is now called Bakror, but in ancient time it was called Senani Grama. So you can see this village is here in the background, and this is the temple. And this temple is situated on a mound. I mean, it's an ancient mound. I mean, it's like, you know, one can very clearly make it out that it's a mound. So, and then again, this place is surrounded by many mounds, and this, you can see, these mounds are getting damaged because people are not aware about this fact, and not much excavation and exploration has happened in this area. So people are ignorant about the significance of all this stupa mounds, and this is a recent picture of this site, and people ignorant about the fact. I mean, they are now cutting, and I mean, so basically all these ancient sacred spots they are getting damaged. This is Venerable Tathaloka, and just Venerable was mentioning about she visited all this place in 2019. So this is a picture of her pilgrimage to this Sujata stupa, and in the Venerable Jayati Bhikkhuni is also, she's also, we can see her also in this picture. So, and again, I mean, like, you know, we are headed towards Sujata Temple. This is the background of Sujata Temple. You can see this temple is situated on the mound. And yeah, so after taking bath in Niranjana river, Bodhisattva Siddhartha went to this rock. This rock is called, according to Fashian, I mean, Xuanzang is silent about this rock. I mean, but Fashian says further north from the place where Bodhisattva Siddhartha received milk rice from Sujata, there was a rock. And Bodhisattva Siddhartha, he sat on this rock facing east, and he consumed this milk rice. So this is the rock, and I mean, this is the image from 2019 when we try to revitalize this place, and we, with blessings of Venerable Bhikkhu Sangha, on the day of Vesak Purnima in 2019, we did this event. The objective is to revitalize all these sacred spots which are associated with Bodhisattva Siddhartha. So from spot number 3, this is the spot number 3 where Bodhisattva Siddhartha consumed his milk rice, and then we know about another story that after again, yeah, sorry. So this is again, I mean, Venerable Tathaloka and other nuns from monastics from Dhammadharini. I mean, this is the picture of the visit to Ratnagri rock. Yeah. So again, I mean, in Buddhist text, especially the Buddhist literature, the biographical literature, both these rivers, this and this, both of them are mentioned as Niranjana. Though now this river is called Niranjana and this river is called Mohane. And both this river, they further north, they meet and they make river Falgu. So Buddhist literature, both these rivers are mentioned as Niranjana only. So after consuming milk rice, Sujata offered this milk rice in golden bowl, and she said, I mean, just keep this golden bowl with you. I mean, it's, you know, yours thing, yours property. So Bodhisattva Siddhartha then, I mean, he had this thought that let me test if I am capable enough, or I mean, I'm going to attain, become Buddha or not. So he took this bowl and he went in this river. So, but now this river is not like, you know, perennial river, but probably at the time of the Buddha, it was a perennial river. I mean, I was talking to a few people here and they said, I mean, just 40, 50 years ago, water was flowing in this river, I mean, till like, you know, April end. So, but now, I mean, in month of May, it's totally dry. But according to tradition, it was what was flowing in this river, and Bodhisattva Siddhartha, in order to test whether if he is going to attend enlightenment today, or whether he's capable to attend this. So he took this bowl, and he said to himself that if this bowl sinks into the river, then enlightenment is not going to happen. And if it floats, and if it moves in downstream, in opposite direction of the stream. So it happened like that. When he threw this bowl in the river, it not only floated, it moved in the opposite to this flow. It was a very rare thing. So now, Bodhisattva was assured that, it was a good omen, and he should continue with what he's doing. He should continue with the practice. So after this, Bodhisattva Siddhartha, he wanted to find a new place. Now he was very optimistic and energetic, because he had already, he had left these austere practices. So in order to find a new place to practice, he crossed this river, and he wanted to, in search of new place, he arrived at this place. This place is now called Dungeshwari Hill. But according to Xuanzang and Fashian, this is called Prague Bodhi Hill. So Prague Bodhi, So this is the mound. This is the mound where we are talking about spot number 4, where Bodhisattva Siddhartha threw his bowl into the river. So this mound, this is situated exactly. You can see Bodhisattva Siddhartha, he had his food here, and then he went to Prague Bodhi Hill. So in between, he threw his bowl in this river. So this spot number 4, there is a mound here. This is a big mound, spread in a big area. And there is an Brahminical temple which was erected on this mound in some 150 years ago. But now even this Brahminical shrine is in a very bad situation, dilapidated situation. So according to us, what I personally think, this is the most suitable place where Bodhisattva Siddhartha threw his bowl into the river, because even Xuanzang and Fashian are silent about this site, so we are not sure about it. But this is the most probable location, because it not only falls in the route of from this Sujata Temple to Prague Bodhi Hill, so it's exactly close to river. This mound is just 30, 40 feet, 50 feet from the river. So, and this is ancient mound. It's you can see local people are not again aware about this mound, so they have done some cutting here to remove some earth, and it has revealed lots of ancient bricks. So my guess is that this is village Ganga Bigha. So our guess is that this would be the most suitable place where Bodhisattva Siddhartha threw his bowl in river Niranjana. Yeah, and from here, this is the 4th spot where he threw his bowl. He then walked in search of a new place. He went to Prague Bodhi Hill. So this is the Prague Bodhi Hill. And Prague Bodhi means, pra means before, and Bodhi means enlightenment. So this is called pre-enlightenment hill. And so Bodhisattva Siddhartha, it is like 4 kilometers from here. So he walked, and then he climbed on the hill, top. And then now it is all barren. But in the times of Bodhisattva Siddhartha, it was all forested. It had all tall trees on this hill. So Bodhisattva Siddhartha, then on the top of the hill, he was looking for a good suitable place. So he tried to sit at a couple of places, and try to meditate there, try to practice. But he was not getting good vibrations, good feeling. So he was not comfortable. So he kept changing the places. So according to, if you climb on this, you will find many stupas on the top of this hill. I have one picture. This is one stupa. You can see, and there are 7 to 8 such stupas on the top of this hill. And according to Xuanzang, all these stupas were made by Emperor Ashoka to mark all those spots where Bodhisattva Siddhartha tried to practice, and then finding that these are not suitable places. So, from there, he made a descent. And you can see from here he descended, and in midway, he found a cave, a big cave. So he thought, why not try practicing here? So this is this cave. So when he entered this cave, again, he was not finding it very, he was not getting a good vibration, he was not very comfortable there. So his inner voice was saying, you won't get enlightenment here. It's not a very suitable place. So you leave this place and go further west, cross Niranjana, and there's a people tree further west, and try meditating at that place. That is more suitable place. So according to Buddhist literature, I mean, all these negative forces, the Mara forces, they knew, I mean, this is a very special day. And I mean, if we don't stop Bodhisattva Siddhartha, he will get enlightenment today. So there was according to Xuanzang and Faxian, there was some ghost kind of thing was living in this cave, rock shelter. So he tried to convince, when Bodhisattva was about to leave, so this negative force was in this rock shelter. He tried to convince Bodhisattva Siddhartha, why you are leaving? I mean, stay here. I mean, I will help you. So please don't abandon this place. I mean, try practicing here. It's a very good place. But since Buddha had realized that, Bodhisattva Siddhartha had realized that this is not a good place. So he, in order to not, I mean, like, he should not feel bad. I mean, this ghost. So he said, I mean, I am leaving and I'm going from here, but I'm leaving my shadow here. So that is why, I mean, this is called shadow cave. So Xuanzang and Faxian, I mean, both of them were very devout. I mean, so when they arrived at this place, they say that, I mean, they saw the shadow in this rock shelter, on the wall of this rock shelter. So this is why this cave is called, rock shelter is called shadow cave. And there's a very big misconception. People think that Bodhisattva Siddhartha spent 6 years here. I mean, it is not the place. I mean, Bodhisattva Siddhartha was at this place for only like, few hours. So from here now, I mean, he was determined, because now his inner voice was saying that this is not the place. I mean, he should go further west, 5 kilometers further west to the people tree on the bank of river Niranjana. And that you should try practicing there. I mean, that is a more suitable place. So he left this place, and then walking from here, I mean, like, 4 or 5 kilometers, he arrived at this place. This is called Saraswati now. This place is now called Saraswati. Again, this is Venerable Tathaloka and Venerable nuns from Dhammadharini. I mean, Venerable Tathaloka visited this place in 2019 pilgrimage to all these places. So this place number 6 is called Saraswati. I mean, this. So again, this place, Xuanzang says, I mean, Faxian doesn't talk about this place. Xuanzang says when Bodhisattva Siddhartha crossed this river and when he arrived on this bank, he saw a cobra, a naga. It was in its skin lying on the bank. So the moment this snake saw this Bodhisattva Siddhartha, I mean, crossing him, he came out of his skin. And then he said, every time I come out of the skin, so the person who is standing in front of me, I mean, because of whom I come out of the skin, he becomes Buddha. It has happened in past with all the previous Buddhas, and it will happen again in future. So this is a very auspicious sign. I have come out of this skin after centuries, and I mean, after aeons. So today you are going to attain enlightenment. So again, Xuanzang saw a stupa there. So if you visit that place, I mean, now that ancient shrine is like demolished, but you will find some ancient bricks at this place. And there's a very old banyan tree, and some Buddhist people, they are trying to revitalize this place. You can see a new Buddha image here. And still, I memean, this tradition of Naga Puja, it still is very powerful here. I mean, local people still come, and there's a day called Nag Panchami, when the people, they worship cobra snake. So there's a big crowd in this area. So this tradition of Naga and Bodhisattva Siddhartha, this encounter, it became very auspicious, and it became like, it became part of the local pilgrimage, and which is still continuing in some form. You can still see, I mean, this ancient tradition is still going on here. And so after that, I mean, Bodhisattva Siddhartha, he crossed, again, he after from Saraswati, this is Saraswati, so he walked further this side, and then he crossed Niranjana, and then this is 7th place is Bodhi tree. So he, according to Buddhist literature, you can see this is a bigger image. So let me show you here in, so this is Prague Bodhi hill. And from here he came, Saraswati is somewhere here. And from here he came. So according to Buddhist literature, Bodhisattva Siddhartha, he arrived at this Bodhi tree from south direction. He came from here and he entered like this. And somewhere here, according to Xuanzang, 100 steps from Bodhi tree was a place where Sotya, this grass cutter who was carrying this kusha grass, he offered a handful of kusha grass to Bodhisattva Siddhartha to make seat. So this event happened somewhere here. So now there is a park here, and that's the ancient stupa. That spot was marked by Emperor Ashoka. Xuanzang saw a very big Ashokan stupa. So, but all of us are aware of this fact that all these shrines were like, it became Brahminical shrines after Buddhism was lost. So this Mahabodhi temple it became a Shaivite shrine, Shaivite and Vaishnavite shrine as well. So, but this came under the control of Giris. Giris are Shaivites. I mean, they are, and this is their monastery. So this is monastery of this Brahminical Giri sect. So archaeologists, they discovered that it is made up of material removed from this place. All the stupas were like, all the stupas which were here, they were damaged. They collected all the bricks and stone, and they made all this Brahminical shrines here. So the stupa to mark Sotya offering Kusha grass to Bodhisattva Siddhartha, it is, I mean, like, it's lost. It's not here. Maybe if excavation happens here after, I mean, like, whenever it happens, so we may find the base of it, I mean, some traces of those stupas. So, and after that, all of us know that he arrived at the base of, he made seat under Bodhi tree, and overnight practicing, he attained enlightenment on the day of Vesak Purnima. So this is what we are celebrating now, Vesak, day of Vesak. So the idea is like, why we are doing this, as Venerable Tathaloka was talking, Venerable was mentioned about what we are going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow, a group of Buddhist pilgrimage interpreters from Bodh Gaya, we are trying to go live from all these sites in sequence. Me starting from here, and my friends, I mean, they would be here and they would be going live and talking about the story and what happened here. So the idea behind this event, or I mean, even this presentation, is all these shrines at these places, many of the shrines, like shrines Saraswati, Ratnagri Hill, and Dharmaranya, and this Ganga Bhiga site, all these sites are totally, I mean, like, they are mounds, and nobody knows, nobody aware about this fact. And even, I mean, we are not celebrating this day of Vesak Purnima, the sequence of event which happened here. I mean, even people in Bodh Gaya, they go and make prayers at Mahabodhi tree, Mahabodhi temple. But in Bodh Gaya, at least, the celebration of Vesak Purnima should have, I mean, to reenact all these events, the sequence of events which happened here. So idea is to revitalize or reenact this sequence of events which happened here in Uruvela on the day of Vesak Purnima. So, Venerable, I think my presentation is done. If there are some questions, I will appreciate to answer them.
Sadhu, sadhu, anumodami. Much appreciate your sharing this with us, Deepak. Seeing these images, then the memories come up of having visited these places, and the feeling of them, which is really so profound and hard to explain and hard to share through the pictures. I deeply appreciate the people like you and others who have really worked so hard to pass down this heritage, or rediscover, refind, and revitalize this heritage and this legacy for us. Would you be willing to give some time for a few questions, if there are any? I know that I have one or two.
Yes, Venerable, I'm here. Please, I mean, I would be happy to answer all the questions. I mean, because we have to make awareness about the sites and whatever we can do in our lifetime to revitalize the footsteps of Buddha and Bodhisattva Siddhartha. These are very sacred to people all around the world. So whatever we can do, yes, Venerable, please.
So my first question is, you're in Bodh Gaya live now, and is there going to be any celebration in Bodh Gaya for Vesak tomorrow? I understand that India has really been hard hit with this next wave of COVID pandemic. And many of us have seen and heard the stories of various Buddhist monks and friends, relatives, people passing away. And so, India, I think, is like so close to so many of our hearts. and just very difficult to see what's been happening during this time. How are things there in Bodh Gaya now?
I went to the Mahabodhi temple yesterday, and temple is closed. Then Dhammadharini shrine is also closed. It was locked. The Sujata Temple is locked because of this lockdown. Lockdown still. The relaxation is only from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So whole market, everything is closed now, and this lockdown is now extended till 1st of June. But since we have this small window, so we would be. Again, there's another threat that we are going. There's a cyclone in Bay of Bengal, and it is going to affect this place also. So we are now expecting some strong wind and rain by evening, and then tomorrow morning. But we will try our best to go live from all these sites. If it's conducive, let's see. We are hopeful.
I wish that everyone be safe. I hope everyone be safe and well. For everyone who's joining us right now, welcome. You may see Dhammadharini Monastery on, I think, is that our tech support? Dhammadharini Monastery is our tech support. And so if you'd like to ask something, then please, you can, tech support will be looking out for it in the chat, and will let me know about that.
And those on Facebook can also type a comment, and I'm looking at those, so I can share those.
Right, those on Facebook can also type a comment, and our tech support is looking at them and can share that. So Deepak, would you mind if I were to ask a question?
Yes,
and others, welcome to put in your questions if you have them, and please let us know when your time runs up and you have to go. Please feel free to let us know about that. My question is, in the last couple of years, then I've been following your blog time by time and the posts on Facebook with interest. And then also you kindly accepted our invitation to join last year. A very interesting presentation this last year with Dhammadharini on Mahapajapati and the Great Renunciation Trail. Then afterwards, a lot of friends said they want to go on pilgrimage on the Great Renunciation Trail. So much energy and enthusiasm came up. But with regards to Vesak and the three great events of the Buddha's life that we're commemorating on this Vaishaka full moon, the Buddha's birth, the Buddha's place of birth, the place of Kapilavastu. I understand that you had planned to be going to visit that area. And even there's a question, is that in Nepal or is that in India? Would you be willing to speak a little bit about that?
Venerable, there is because the confusion is about the palace city of Kapilavastu, the place where Bodhisattva Siddhartha spent his childhood days. So because Kapilavastu was a small empire, and this India-Nepal boundary, it's like it's dividing the ancient Kapilavastu in almost two halves. So, but according to Shenzang, what I strongly feel is that the palace city, the place where Bodhisattva Siddhartha spent his childhood, is in Nepal. It's Tilarakota. And it's very convincing, and it's not only about archaeological remains, which is of course very convincing, but the distance and direction given by Shenzang and Fashion, both of them, they lead us to that place. So I don't have any iota of doubt that Tilarakota is the place of Bodhisattva Siddhartha's childhood days. But the part of Kapilavastu which is in India is the Kapilavastu Monastery. Because this excavation in Piprava, they revealed Indian scholars, they not only discovered the relics of the Buddha, they also discovered the ceilings of the monastery which was around this Piprava stupa. So the ceilings read Kapilavastu Monastery. So this was the main monastery, which was around this relic stupa. And this relic casket, it has this inscription which says this relic belongs to the Shakyans, the share they received from this Kushinara. So a good part of and because Shenzang saw more than 1,000 monasteries in ruins in ancient Kapilavastu. So he mentions that. So many of these ancient monasteries are in Indian part. When I was doing this walk, so I could not enter Nepal because of this COVID, because the border was closed. But during my walk in the Indian part, I saw many ancient remains here and there. I mean, like, I could easily make out these are the mounds. And so ancient Kapilavastu is on both sides of border India and Nepal. So the idea is like, they should come together and make a united, single Kapilavastu circuit, instead of talking like, this is Indian Kapilavastu, it is Nepal Kapilavastu. Kapilavastu is one. And majority of scholars, they agree with the fact that Tilarakota is the palace city. And I was also hoping that, because this main monastery of Kapilavastu Empire was in Piprava, and so I wanted to do. I'm going to do a walk from Piprava to Tilarakota, the palace city. It's like 20 kilometers trail, touching this Nigrodha monastery and Gothiava, the place of Karakchanda Buddha, and this should be developed as a trail. Indo-Nepal trail. Combining uniting this Kapilavastu, which is spread on both the side of India and Nepal. So let's see, someday it will become a reality. We have to keep trying.
Deepak, let me check in if anyone has a question.
No questions have popped up yet, so
Okay.
I don't know if our Zoom participants might like to speak.
So then there's a question that I've heard from a number of our monastics and a number of friends, and I was just reminded about it when you mentioned like wishing to have the walk, this 20-kilometer walk between the Kapilavastu area in India and Nepal. And people ask, what has inspired you to undertake these walks, especially these last couple of years, retracing Bodhisattva Xuanzang? Long walking. What is your inspiration?
Venerable, when I read this book on Xuanzang by Shun Xuan, 10,000 Miles Without a Cloud, so that was my first inspiration about, to know more about Xuanzang. And then I went through his primary literature, the books written by Xuanzang, his travel accounts and his biography. And this was so inspiring. And then I realized that whole of this Buddhist pilgrimage that we have in India and in Nepal, it is based on Xuanzang. And then still, because in our school days, we were taught as Xuanzang as just an ordinary traveler. He came to India. Faxia and Xuanzang, they were travelers. But people in India, they don't realize that, these guys, they have such an immense contribution. It's just because of him that we know this Buddhist geography. All this Pali literature, all this biographical texts, they talk about all these places, but we cannot plot those places based on Buddha Charita, Nidhan Katha, Pali sources. This is just a floating geography. So Xuanzang and Faxian, they give they give stronghold to this geography where these places are. And all these places have been identified on the basis of travelers of Xuanzang. Yet, people are not, this guy, this great monk, he was a bodhisattva, he's a bodhisattva, and he didn't get his due. He should be, this is just a tribute to what he's contributed. And I want to raise awareness about this, his immense contribution to Buddhist pilgrimage. And when people come for Buddhist pilgrimage to all the shrines, they should also remind themselves that they should be thankful to Xuanzang. All these places, Sarnath, Bodh Gaya, Rajgir, all these places should have a memorial for Xuanzang. At least a statue talking, we know about these places because of Xuanzang. All these places had a new name. When by 17th, 18th century, nobody was aware about Nalanda, Vaishali, Sravasti, Sankissa, Sarnath. All these places had new names. Lumbini, it became Rumandi. Kapilavastu Palace City became Tilarakota. All these names were changed. So this contribution of Xuanzang is great. And I hope that through these walks, we could do some awareness generation among the people that, this Buddhist pilgrimage is because of Xuanzang. We know because of this, his travel accounts.
Thank you. Let me check in if there are questions. Oh, they're giving me the opportunity for all the questions. This is my great good fortune. As you know me, I have an endless fountain of questions. Except for normally this time in the evening is my meditation time, and all my questions come to emptiness. So Deepak, these days, in the last couple of years, then a number of people who have the name like Maurya for the family name and Shakya for the family name have been reaching out to me and contacting me and others. And what's going on with now? It seems like the reappearance of people in India with the family name Shakya and family name Maurya, like the
Yes.
Emperor Ashoka.
Yeah, Venerable, during my walks, I mean, most of the time my hosts were like, Shakya and Maurya people. They are very enthusiastic. And some research based on, I mean, they have done some research. The scholars, I mean, in their community, they have done some research, and they think that they are the descendants of the Shakya people. There is a community called Kushwaha community. This is the ancient Kushwaha community, and they have got many sister, sister communities. And so these people, they think, based on some research, they have done some research, and they think that they are the descendants of Emperor Ashoka and Shakyamuni Buddha, I mean, Shakyam clan. So now they are very, I mean, wherever I went, I have met these people, and they are very enthusiastically working towards revitalization of the sites, and I mean, raising awareness, generating awareness among their community people about their ancient roots. So it was a very, I mean, I had a very good opportunity to spend time with these people. And I mean, I have written a lot about them. I mean, in my stories, if you see, I mean, every second story is about my interaction with them.
Yes, thank you. I'm checking in again about others' questions. And also I want to see our tech support is serving faithfully. I would like to check if they have a question they would like to ask. Tech support is also welcome and invited to ask any questions. So you can think about that. Do you still have a little bit more time, Deepak?
Whenever I'm here whole day, I mean,
I'm hoping some of the people will give up their shyness and ask what they feel like they would love to ask and not be shy or embarrassed. So during the time that we were in Bodh Gaya last, we went to visit the museum in Bodh Gaya, and we saw the railings from the original railings from the Bodh Gaya site. These railings were put up around the Jayashri Mahabodhi tree and the Mahabodhi temple there. And I wish that people would be able to know something about the great Magadha Dowager Queen Ayakurangi, who after the Emperor Ashoka then further developed the 5 great features of the Bodh Gaya shrine that so many people know and appreciate. And would you like to say anything about that? I with much interest, I did some research about her, and people always speak about the Emperor Ashoka. I think he was glorious, and he gets a lot of glory. I think about her story and this Ayakurangi Dowager Queen who offered so much for the Bodh Gaya shrine in maybe the 2nd century.
So Venerable, I mean, the thing is many of the shrines which Xuanzang says, stupas which Xuanzang says were built by Ashoka, excavation revealed they were not built by Ashoka, but I mean later kings like Shung and Kushana people, Shung and Kushana kings. So name Ashoka evokes so much of respect and sort of, I mean, as you said, glory. So I mean, wherever Xuanzang went and there were some ancient stupas, so local monks would say, I mean, they would always relate ancient structures with Ashoka. So I mean, still this is continuing. I mean, even if you visit Bodh Gaya now, so all the guides, they would say, I mean, everything is about everything, they would relate with Ashoka only, the temple, without realizing that at the time of Ashoka there were no images of Buddha, so there was no question of a temple. But still, I mean, they think the mention of Ashoka would evoke so much of interest, curiosity, and respect. So still this is continuing, people have, so I mean, it's good idea that now we should talk about, I mean, contribution of others, especially all this, this great lady Kurangi, I mean, and Naga Devi and Simra. These were the three names on this pillars, on that railing. So now, I mean, this is what now when I go around with Buddhist pilgrims, I always mention that, I mean, these are not made by Ashoka. At the time of Ashoka, there was no images of Buddha, and what Ashoka did was just he put a Ashokan pillar here, and he made a small, shrine, I mean, open shrine for the place where Buddha got enlightened, that protecting the tree and that spot Vajrasan. But I mean, again, that offering plate, that sandstone plate, which is kept on the behind the Bodhi tree, it is again offered by Kurangi. I mean, it is made by Kurangi.
Yes,
it is a generous offering of Kurangi, and it's such a beautiful 7 feet big sandstone. I mean, it's still surviving in spite of so much of things have gone there. Many of the ancient things have been damaged, but this sandstone plate, I mean, this offering stone, I mean, it is still very well preserved. So definitely, I mean, Venerable, this is important to talk about all these people whose contribution we are now more, I mean, we should acknowledge them now, all these contributions.
Yes, I really appreciated to be able to see them. They have such ambiance, and there's some really unique features. I hope that her story will also be told, our story, as well as the history. So I understand that there's a question.
Sharanya has a hand up.
Sharanya has a hand up. Sharanya, please go ahead. Sharanya, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Aya, and good evening, Deepak. Thank you so much for putting this together. I was actually not aware that there were no images of the Buddha in the years or centuries after his death. So how did it come to be that the image got created, and who was kind of responsible for that happening? And so I just wanted more information about that.
Venerable is the right person to answer this question. She's scholar. Venerable.
Yeah, that would be a whole other presentation, I think, to properly answer about that. But my understanding is that early in the time after the Buddha, even for perhaps the first 500 years or so, that all the iconography was aniconic. That is, it didn't show actual images of the Buddha, but perhaps the Bodhi tree or the seat of the Buddha's footprints were a great object of veneration, the Dhamma wheel. So all these were symbols of the Dhamma and symbols of the Buddha himself. But what we've learned is that it wasn't until perhaps around the 1st century, inspired by the Greeks, with Buddhism spreading into the northwest of India, and with the Greek influence entering into India, that Greek-inspired statuary then began to be created in the northwest, and then Mathura. In fact, one of the bhikkhunis, who was known as a Tripitakacharya, that is a master of the 3 baskets of the Buddha's teaching, was amongst those who are credited with being the first to be offering first Bodhisattva images. So there was a great debate whether maybe the Buddha himself shouldn't be depicted by a statue, but can the Bodhisattva be depicted? So first, then the groundbreaking was with depicting the Bodhisattva images, and then later on images of the Buddha himself, although there are other legends and stories there. So something just happened with the screen here. I'm not sure what that was. Anyway, I don't know if that answers your question or not, but it seemed like once statues and images of the Buddha started to be made, then so many people loved it, and they continued more and more until now. Here, we have a Thai Buddha image and Canadian Buddha image and Cambodian Buddha image here, all together with the candle lit for Vesak. I see that R.K. Singh also has their hand up. R.K. Singh, please go ahead. Maybe that you have to unmute yourself if you would like to be heard.
And also, whenever we can also, the first images of the Buddha, what we know now is it appeared in this coins of Kushana kings and this Bhimran casket.
Yes, from the Kushana period. Yes, thank you for mentioning that.
This casket is.
There are some stories that we don't know really. If somewhere in the sands of the Ganges, the image that was said to have been made in the Buddha's lifetime, during the time that he was away because of missing him, and then buried in the Ganges sands, if that will ever be found again or not, we don't know. Is that just a fable, or is that a real story? And sometimes someone with the moving of the sands comes upon this image. Perhaps, we don't know. Let me see. I'm not sure if anyone else has their hand up or wishes to ask a question now. I know that after others, if there's time, I have one more question myself.
Let's see other questions right now.
So my last question then is about the site of the Buddha's parinibbana. So there is a temple there that's very famous that, well, I don't know what is there, where people believe or people think that that's the parinirvana shrine, and go on pilgrimage there. And there's an image of the Buddha laying down, so highly venerated. And I understand that you've done some research recently about this. Would you like to say anything about that? The location of Kushinara or Kushinagar, where the Buddha entered parinibbana?
Venerable, again, this is a topic in itself. But I really think that the present Kushinara, this is Kasya, is not a correct identification, and it needs more research. I personally think that Rampurva, which is which conforms to the description of Fashion and Shenzhen, is more suitable location. I personally think that is the place where Bodhisattva Siddhartha, Buddha attained Mahaparinirvana. So I'm still doing more research because this Rampurva is situated in the foothills of Himalayas, and if this is Kushinara, Rampurva is Kushinara, then there should be two relic stupas there, where this people, Kushinara people, they receive two shares of Buddha relics. Pawa people and Kushinara people, both were like towns of ancient Kushinagar. So they must have enshrined this relic somewhere in this area. So I want to do some more research. But I personally think that Rampurva is the correct location, because not only it has got two Ashokan pillars as mentioned by Shwenzang, but distance and direction also. There's a story on my blog. I have written 3 stories on this, and I find it very convincing. In Kasya, there's nothing ancient. Nothing from the times of Ashoka. It doesn't conforms to the description of Shwenzang and Fashion, except for that reclining image of the Buddha. Nothing else is there. And that too, it has come there in 5th century. So there are many things. It's a big topic. So
yes. Thank you very much for speaking about that. If anyone would like to learn more about that, then you can see the Deepak's posts on the Retracing Bodhisattva Xuanzang project on Facebook, or the Nalanda on the Move, or Insatiable Offerings blog. And I think finally, I would like to come to a question in my heart is, for this heritage and these sacred places in India, this work that you're giving your life to, what would you like the people internationally to know, or what do you wish from us internationally? I think that's my final question. Then to invite you to welcome the people for the program at, it will be for us 5 p.m. tomorrow, but for you 5:30 a.m. Tomorrow morning, the next live program. So please, if you would be willing to speak to that.
Yeah, Venerable, the idea behind this, not only this project and whatever we are doing, the idea is that this Gangetic plain where Buddha and Bodhisattva Siddhartha, they walked, I mean, all this landscape was so sacred for more than 1,000 years until this first millennia, at the turn of the first millennia, when this political climate changed and all these shrines and all these places were abandoned, and then they lost its importance. But now the time has come, and we have, there are sufficient resources and devotion to and awareness about all these places. So people who are visiting India, all these Buddhist places, they should not only visit this main shrines, they should also visit all the subsidiary shrines associated with Buddha. And now there are sufficient information about most of the shrines. If you do little research on net, you will find, other places also. And slowly, gradually, we have to revitalize all these places. And we are also hoping that, we want to make documentary films on all these sites. So, people who are interested in, sponsoring this documentary films, they can, they are welcome. We want to make small budget films. We were hoping to generate some funds for this, but because of COVID, all this, this fund generation thing collapsed. It didn't work because, in COVID times, it's very difficult. But in future, people who are interested in participating in revitalizing these places. So the first important thing is making films, short films about these places. So people who are interested, they can contact us. We would love to work together, and whatever we can do, we should do together.
Thank you very much. Would you be willing to put the last screen up again, the final screen of the? Oh, that would be Deepak's. I see. I was just asking if you'd be willing to put your last page of your PowerPoint up again for those who might like the information. And also, again, if it's easy, yes, thank you very much. And also to invite everyone who would like to join live. Then if you're in California or Pacific time, that will be 5 p.m. in the evening tomorrow. Or if you're in India, India time, then at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow. Live from these sacred sites themselves in the Uruvela area around Bodh Gaya, from the day of the Buddha's awakening, great awakening. So thank you very much again, Deepak Anand, for joining us, and for all of your care for our Buddhist heritage, and for our generations and everyone around the world, and also for so generously sharing this time now with us today on the eve of the Vesak Vaishaka Purnima, the Vesak full moon, live from Bodh Gaya. Anumodhana, Anumodhana, Anumodhana. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. live from the sacred sites.
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you. Have a nice day, Venerable. Thanks for the opportunity, Venerable.
An excellent Vesak Eve day today.
Yeah, Venerable.
To everyone.